Hello, and welcome to the Visionary Leaders Collective podcast. I'm Dr. Josie Schmidt, one of the founders, and I'm delighted to have you all join us today. Our community comes together every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, creating insightful discussions and sharing valuable wisdoms. Today, we have something truly special in store for you as we explore the transformative power of the holy oils mentioned throughout the Bible. Oils like frankincense, myrrh, spikenard, cinnamon, and you'll probably hear about others. Now, if you miss out on any part of today's discussion, you can always catch us on our podcast recordings. They're available on your preferred platform. Visit our website at hellovisionary.life for a comprehensive list of our community offerings. And don't forget to opt into our newsletters and text reminders so you can stay up to date with all that we are doing. You can stay connected with us across all the social media platforms such as Instagram, YouTube, major podcast channels, and you can continue to learn, grow, and engage with our vibrant community. I'd like to let you know that next week, which is December. Can someone give me the date of that? Our next Monday call is December, anyways, whatever next Monday is. 4th. Yes, thank you.
4th.
Thank you, Aisha. We're having a wonderful community call on maximizing your collection of oils. We've done this a few times. It is super juicy. It's going to be juicy like today's call, a community discussion where a lot of the leaders and all of the community come on and we discuss about the different oils that you might have in your collection that you don't know what to do with, or you're like, I want to know of some other things. I've heard about this. And everyone comes together and we really help you learn and grow with your essential oil use, with what you already have or what you might be yearning to get. So please join us next Monday. But without further ado, let's continue with today's podcast on the holy oils. And I'm going to hand it over to Erin Fugate, one of our founders.
Thanks, Josie. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be with you today and overjoyed to talk about this subject because it is one of my favorites. We are going to be anointing ourselves with oils throughout this conversation. So if you have frankincense, myrrh, spikenard, cinnamon, and wild orange, grab them. If you don't have them, no worries, because you will get anointed with their spirit in this conversation anyways. So my story with this is when I started loving essential oils and I started diving into the research. My mom was very inspired. Some of you knew her, Rose Ingraham. She was very inspired by the spiritual aspect of the oils. So we did a lot of deep dives into the history around these spiritual oils and why were they found in the Bible? Why were they used by the ancient doctors of Chinese medicine? Why were they used in Ayurveda? Why were they used in ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia? So a lot of this has come through that exploration. What I want to say, though, is that I am not Christian. I'm not an expert in the Bible. So if I make any mistakes, please feel free to correct me. I'm more going to be talking about these interesting points of lore and how it connected the dots for me on a lot of things that we do with the oils, and maybe we didn't know why we do it. So we're going to start with spikenard. And first, what I also want you to know is during the ancient times, during the times of the Bible, they didn't have essential oils as we have today. So this beautiful, pure aromatic extract that we get in the bottle, that is so the true essence of the plant, I want you to take yourself back in time to the ancient Egyptians, to the times of the Bible, to Jerusalem as ancient Hebrew, and understand that you would come across this plant and you would smell it, and your options were to burn it, to smoke it, to ingest it, or to submerge it in animal fat, trying to crudely extract the aroma and then maybe rub that over your body. So when I center around that and I present that, I realized as I opened my bottle of Spikenard, go ahead and open it and take a deep inhale. I realized how lucky we are. We are so lucky. When that invention, and it was by a Persian inventor, when he finally was like, oh, I figured it out. I can get the spirit of the plant, the essence of the plant into this liquid that is totally pure. It was absolutely mind-blowing. So our ancestors from the ancient time, they did not get to have the oil in this way. So what I'm going to ask you to do with Spikenard is we are going to anoint the top of our head. So that could be considered your crown chakra, the top of your head. This is one of the references in the Bible. They anointed Jesus on the top of his head before crucifixion. And the reason I believe is Spikenard is considered to be a plant that wards off evil spirits. So it is perfect during a time of transition. So how we can take this into our own life is just like Jesus, he died, but then he was reborn, which those of us in our yogic practice, we get to do that every time we do yoga, right? And we go into Shavasana. So you might grab your Spikenard, and before you go into Shavasana, you might anoint your head with that contemplation of what does it mean to be reborn? What does it mean to be able to lay down everything we've known before and then rise again? For the Nepalese, they believed that when you took Spikenard and you actually smoked it, that it would ward off evil spirits. So we can take Spikenard, put it in our hand, rub it together, and make our own little pipe. Breathing that into our lungs. It's pretty incredible the way it feels if you have it. It's a unique. The taste of Spikenard is much different than the aroma. You can also take it through your nose. And then I always invite you with oils to place it wherever it's calling to you. Wherever you just feel like, oh, I really want that oil there. Now, one of the, I guess, most famous references to Spikenard is in the Bible when Mary would bathe Jesus's feet with Spikenard. And what's important to know about Spikenard is at that time, a bottle or a vessel, the vessel that maybe she had to wash his feet, would cost as much as a year's wages. So you know how we're like, oh, that oil might be really expensive. We might look at Melissa or frankincense and go, that's really expensive. Can you imagine during that time having an oil so sacred that it's what you choose to wash your teacher's feet with, and it costs your whole year's wages? I mean, talk about seva and service and the representation of that. Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. I'm just checking my notes to see if there's something else I wanted to share about Spikenard. So just to bring it to present day, Spikenard can be a calming tonic. So you can use it the same way you do vetiver or the valerian in our serenity stick. It's also great for your digestive system. I love to put Spikenard on my belly button. Your belly button is a great place to put some oils. And Spikenard is a great one to put there. Play around with putting it in blends. It really makes an excellent addition to blends. It stimulates balanced hormone production, and it's great for mature and dry skin. So you could be adding it to a serum. But every time you put oils on, you know, bringing it back to this sacred aspect, I want you to think about the idea of anointing. And the word to anoint actually means to make holy. So even if you're using Spikenard in a beauty routine, or you're using it for your stomach or your hormone balancing, or you are using it in prayer or meditation, think about that. The ancients, that's why they used the oils, because the idea was they were anointing themselves or making themselves holy. And this kind of brings me to the holy anointing oil. When I stumbled upon this concept or this bit of history, I got so excited. So in the Bible, and I have the reference here if you want to go look it up, in Exodus 30:22 through 29, God is speaking to Moses, and he says, make these into a sacred anointing oil, a fragrant blend, the work of a perfumer. It will be the sacred anointing oil. Then use it to anoint the tent of meeting, the ark of the covenant law, the table and all its articles, the lampstand and its accessories, the altar of incense, the altar of burnt offering, and all its utensils, and the basin with its stand. You shall consecrate them so they will be the most holy, and whoever touches them will be holy. I'm going to give you the recipe in a moment. But what happened is they made this holy anointing oil, and then every bottle thereafter was made from a little bit of the original one. So it's even said, I don't know if this is true, that there's still some holy anointing oil that originally came from that bottle that Moses made from the recipe from God. So the original recipe was 500 shekels of liquid myrrh, that's about 6 grams, half as much of fragrant cinnamon, 250 shekels of fragrant calamus, 500 shekels of cassia, and a hine of olive oil. A hine is about 5 quarts. So sometimes there's disagreement about what the calamus was. Some people even say, oh, it actually was cannabis. Some people will say that it was like sandalwood. It could be something more like arguaiac wood. But if you want to make your own anointing oil at home, what I would recommend you do is take a tablespoon of carrier oil. You could use fractionated oil, or if you want to be very traditional, you would use olive oil. You can take 2 drops of myrrh, 2 drops of cinnamon. And if you don't have, I'm going to say just the cinnamon, because cassia is really intense on your skin. Cinnamon is too, but we don't want to put more in there. So just 2 drops of cinnamon, 2 drops of sweet orange, and 1 drop of frankincense. And so this oil you can use to spiritually cleanse your body, cleanse your mind. If you have a sacred area in your house where you pray or meditate, to cleanse that area, and use it whenever you want to bring yourself back to that state of connected to your higher power, connected to the divine. Cinnamon, there's so much out there about cinnamon. Cinnamon is one of these plants and oils that has so much lore around it, especially if you start to dip into more the Wicca or the magical arts. But in the Bible, it was said that cinnamon was one of the gifts that Queen of Sheba brought to King Solomon. And in ancient Egypt, cinnamon was used to embalm the mummies. It was such a popular herb, and it was so unique in its aroma because it really lives in that place between sweet and almost salty. It's this very interesting flavor and smell. And it's part of that holy anointing blend. When we talk about the gifts that were brought to baby Jesus, we always hear frankincense, gold, and myrrh. And one thing that's important to know is what they brought was the resin, right? They didn't have necessarily the oil at that time, so it was probably being burnt. But the reason that these gifts were so special is because of the cleansing properties and because of how valuable they were. So some will even say that the gold was actually a reference to the value, like they had the gold and the frankincense and the myrrh, and they were all considered very highly prized and highly valuable. So you can use these oils individually as an anointing practice, as a meditative practice, or you can make that anointing blend. So I'd love to hear what other people know about the sacred oils and anything you've heard along the way, or any questions that you have so far. I'll go check the chat. Thank you for putting that in there.
I really love that what I find is that science, and there's different languages, right? There's the language and belief in science. There's the language and belief of the Bible. There's the language and belief of different spiritual practices. And something that I find very fascinating is if you look at the overall messages, you find unifying threads that are saying the same thing. And so what I love is that what we know about the science behind these oils and behind frankincense and spikenard and how phenomenal they are for the brain, and the way the olfactory bulb goes right into the pineal gland, which is connected with our third eye and with being awake and being spiritually aware. And so I really love that we can bring in the science, and it's saying the same principles that this old knowledge says, right? And you can really experience it. I hope that you guys use the oils while we were doing this practice, because I know I had a little bit of a headache, and just starting to use the frankincense and starting to smell it and put it on the back of my head, the back of my head, I could just feel a shift in my focus and in my mind. So I'm curious if anyone noticed while they were using it. What did you notice? And I wanted to remind us all that when we slow down and when we get centered and when we make the mind alert, and the body alert and the soul alert, often we can receive more spiritual information. I feel like the thing that gets interfered is all our distractions, right? Letting the mind be so distracted with all of the worldly things that sometimes it's hard to center. So I just wanted to speak to this blend that you just shared, Erin, and how wonderful it is to help us to center and focus. So thank you. And I just saw Louise just put in the chat, writing the Phoenix blend, which is a delightful blend. And I'm going to read that for people on our podcast. In a 15 milliliter roller bottle, you'll do 60 drops myrrh, 20 drops cinnamon, 7 drops spikenard, and 4 drops cistus in fractionated coconut oil.
That blend sounds so good. I have to make that. And what you're saying, Ariana, is really just reminding me of that, bringing in that connection to the pineal gland. And really the reason, if we go to more the Hindu side of things where people are practicing Tantra, or the Buddhist side of things where they're practicing meditation and breath work, the goal is to open the pineal gland, because once we open the pineal gland, or in modern day we calcify it because it's been, we have a lot of toxins that aren't very good for it, then we're actually bringing ourselves closer to God or to divinity or to enlightenment. And when you look at the oils that are in, say, the Holy Anointing blend or the Writing the Phoenix blend, you'll see that those are all the oils that are really good for the brain. And the spikenard balancing the hormones well, that's all in that part of the brain. So that crossover between spirit and science, I think, is the reason that I got so excited with doTERRA in the first place, because there were essential oil companies out before that focused 100% on the spiritual and esoteric. And that's what sometimes people think. Oh, oils are just, something witchy crystal lovers use. And doTERRA came along and they were like, no, there's science here, but there's still crossover. It's like, don't throw out the ancient lore and just look at the science, look at the correlation between the two.
Well, and it speaks to the wisdom that people had prior to us, right? Sometimes we can be so egotistical and think we are so advanced, right? And it speaks to why, also just on a very practical sense, when you have a newborn baby, bringing medicine is highly prized, right? If you have something that protects your immune system, if you have something that is going to protect the baby and the mama from getting sick, if you have myrrh to put on the umbilical cord, if you have, medicine is so prized. And if you were having, now we can just jump in a plane, but of course, if you can't access some of those plants and the medicine back in the day, having someone bring that to you and having it readily available would be highly prized. Just imagine.
So I think it was Dr. Josie asked, Victoria asked about copal.
Yeah.
And we've all heard of copal, right? It's another resin that you burn like frankincense or myrrh. But I think sometimes what we forget is that copal is copaiba.
Mm-hmm.
And so we also have that sacred plant and that sacred oil, which is more in the South American indigenous histories that you can go look at that. And then we're also talking about cistus. So cistus is also another beautiful oil. You can't purchase it from doTERRA, but we got it in the ancient holy oil kits at one time. We also got it as one of our free oils of the month. I love that oil. It is so like earthy, and Gabe, my husband, will put it on a lot and I'll just go, what is that smell? It's so intoxicating. And it has a strong history in the Bible as well. The plant that it is it's called the soft hairy rock rose. So it's, this kind of wild looking rose. It seems like a very ancient rose. It probably is. And I'm just looking here at my notes about what was said about it. Okay, so
While you look at that, Erin, I'll just interject that I believe it's the same rock rose that is used in the flower essence, the rescue remedy. Can you confirm that for me? But I think it is, which we know is one of the best, shock or trauma remedies. So these ancients knew a thing or two, didn't they?
Right. And I was thinking just about what we know about copaiba, and in general, if I was going to sum up what people use copal, have talked about it for purification and for alleviating low vibrations and heavy emotions and kind of all of that. And what doTERRA has found out in all of their studies with the oils and the in-house studies that they do is that copaiba kind of potentiates all the other oils. So when you combine it with another essential oil, it helps that essential oil or that blend to further do what it does, penetrate in. I think of it as like the role of what enzymes do in the body, or, we call peppermint a driver. Copaiba makes all other blends and oils work to their highest potential. So it's just purifying and removing that dross so that whatever it is working with is working at its highest level. I think that's so beautiful.
So what I found about cistus, it's also called Rose of Sharon, and it grew where the shepherds were. So, and it was often used to make a balm that was very healing. And then there's many references to it in the Bible to use it as a balm for physical healing, but also healing of the soul. So cistus would be a good one to rub maybe over your heart when you're grieving or going through hard times or during all the pain that's happening in our world right now. One of the references I found was about Babylon falling. And the advice was, as Babylon falls, rub balm over it and maybe it will be healed. I like bringing that to our modern day situation.
Go ahead, Jessie. I have a little more about cistus.
Oh no, let's hear more. I just wanted to do a shout out. It reminds me almost of Palmarosa, but everyone, they haven't said in our the Christmas things that they are going to have the ancient oils, but sometimes they bring them out in December, and this is where people see the cistus. This is how I have cistus and galbanum and hyssop, these smaller known ancient oils, is purchasing the ancient oils kit. So whenever that comes out, grab that. These are very special oils and they don't come out all the time. They're very limited time. So just a shout out for that, and a shout out for in December, whatever specials that doTERRA puts out with the frankincense or the myrrh, their specials are always about exactly what's going on in the planet. Have you noticed this, everyone? Can we get a shout out about that? About whatever war is happening, whatever global thing is going on, whatever like virus is going around, they'll come out with some special limited time oil or something. You're like, why are they doing that? Trust that they know that there's a reason, and it's for right now. It's for what is going on to help us work with that. And it's always, it's like every single time it is true. So when they come out with the ancient oils kit, when they come out with something like that, that is what you're going to need for the next few months, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, like in keeping in alignment. So it's not random.
I would say that 100%, Josie. I've always noticed that. And I always pay attention to what is the 10% oil off, and what is the free oil of the month, and what's happening right now. And then what is, sometimes they introduce oils that we haven't used before. And if you do a little research, it's like, oh, Ravinsara is amazing for the lungs, or, oh, you just start seeing the connection and the correlation. So I would second that. Stock up when you have the chance. I know I did on the holy oils, because I know how good they are. And I wanted to say too that we have a recorded holy oils call that covers that whole kit of the gallium, the cistus, and so that's available for everyone on our website. You can find that at our visionary hellovisionary.life and our Essential Wellness website. And then I wanted to talk a little bit more about cistus. So cistus, Erin, you were saying this, and it's so perfect. I'm actually looking at a book called Aromatica right now, and cistus is in there, and you would want to bring in cistus in times of low willpower, strength, or indecisiveness. If you're feeling discouraged and have low perseverance, if there's a mental and emotional burnout, in times of shock, in times of low self-esteem, self-neglect, negativity, a loss of motivation, apathy, and procrastination. And there's some gorgeous blends, cistus and myrrh, I just want to speak to, because it is. So we're making this wonderful holy blend. Like, we have posted some recipes for these oils. So they are going to help us in our spiritual body, but they're also, when you use that, going to help you with, how should I say it, with strong, well, they're anti-inflammatory. Forgive me for using that word, but I was trying to find a way to say that differently, and I just couldn't think of anything. But they're really good in times when the body is overreacting, and that is going to be just a wonderful blend to rub on your muscles and to rub on any parts of your body that might be hurting. And then cistus and cypress is a really great blend too, and cistus and frankincense. And for anybody, it's really good for regulating if you need autoimmune support. That is going to be a great combination. So I just love that. Like, when we make these blends and we make them for one purpose, it's like the plants are just coming in, and they're like, oh, and you'll need me over here, and you'll need me over here, and I'll help you over here. And you might not even know that I'm doing all this for you, but I got your back,
As you're talking, it's making me think that it would feel really good to do a symphony of the cells with all the holy oils.
Yes. I can tell you that the only person I know who's already done that is Dr. Mika and her team of the butterflies. They yeah, right. And Louise loved like the ancient oils. That was when it came out. As soon as she used them, she's told her whole team, she was like, these oils are for right now. Do them as a symphony right now, like every day.
Yeah. I think that's important to know from someone who's been around doTERRA for a really long time. I've been here for almost 16 years. And when doTERRA was just launched, we didn't have the Aroma Touch and we didn't have Symphony of the Cells, but that's exactly what we did. Me and my friend Contessa were roommates, and we would lay in front of the fire on our sheepskin, and we would apply oils to each other's spine and just layer oil after oil, which is a symphony. So don't be afraid or shy to make up your own symphonies. Get oils on your spine. And if you have a friend to do it for you, even better. But I know Dr. Josie has taught us how to do it for ourselves too. That's on the hellovisionary.life website. The
And you
spine,
can't, as Erin's saying, you can't do it wrong. It's just layering of oils. And if you can't reach your spine, if you're by yourself, you do your feet, and you can get your low back and your neck a little, and that's a self symphony.
And the only thing that could go wrong is you could put an oil that's a little hot on. And if that happens, it's not wrong, but just put some more carrier oil and it will soften that feeling. So if there's any oil where it's like, oh, that's a little too intense. If you have a little too much peppermint on you or something, then just put a little more carrier oil on.
Yes. So the other day I wanted to put pettigrain on my belly. And by the way, pettigrain is wonderful over your belly if you need to block out negative energy. So if you have a family gathering where you know there's going to be somebody there who might trigger you, put pettigrain on your belly before you go. Well, I accidentally grabbed oregano without knowing it. And I went like 4 or 5 drops of oregano, rubbed it all over my belly. And I was like, oh, the smell hit me before the sensation did. But the part of the story I want you to know is I quickly grabbed my coconut oil. I rubbed it over my belly, and then I took a washcloth. It wasn't wet, just a dry washcloth, and I wiped it off, and I had no sensation. I didn't get that burning sensation. I must have really needed it though, because oregano is also powerful at blocking out negative energies. It's the most powerful. If you ever come back from like a haunted house, or you went shopping at an antique store and you just feel like you took something on, oregano is the one that can really cut that. It's similar to sage or similar to Palo Santo. But just to know, even if you got the worst of the worst oils on your body for as far as burning sensation, and I would say oregano is the worst, that coconut oil just cuts it and it's totally fine.
Yeah. And I love that reminder about pettigrain, Erin. My sweetheart got sick yesterday and was very, very grumpy. And it's so funny because I poured like 20 drops of pettigrain into the diffuser intuitively, not even with a reason, just like, I just want some pettigrain right now. So nice to have those, like the oils around to help us through just, life, being human. We're all, having these human experiences.
Let's talk about, as you brought it up, Erin, Palo Santo, which, if you didn't know, is also called guaiac wood. So did everyone know that guaiac wood is a form of Palo Santo? So not only do we have copal and Palo Santo as essential oils to be using, just know that that's what guaiac wood is, and that is what copaiba is. Yeah. So we got the guaiac wood, the Palo Santo, at the same time as the Spanish sage, which is the true smudging sage. So doTERRA brought both of those out last year for us to be working with, in the knowingness that perhaps some more specific, intense clearing might be needed.
Yeah. And I love that you said working with, because this is a really important concept that I'd love to bring to the table. And it's this idea that, we have these new oils that come along, or maybe new to you. Maybe you're new to doTERRA and you're just getting your first bottle of Spikenard after this call and you've never had it. And the idea of working with an oil is to actually take the time to get to know not only the aroma and the constituents, but the personality or the spirit of the oil. I just did a 21-day immersion with Blue Lotus with a group of people, and we anointed ourselves with Blue Lotus every day and had a prayer around Blue Lotus. We did meditations around Blue Lotus, and then I even drank Blue Lotus tea. And it changes my relationship with the oil so much, from where Blue Lotus came out a few years ago and I was excited but I didn't really get into it that much, to taking 21 days where I anointed myself daily with blue lotus, meditated with blue lotus, drank the tea of blue lotus, fully got into it, learned the history and the lore. And now I feel like blue lotus is my friend, and I can visualize what the spirit looks like. I know what it is doing for me, because as Ariana talked about, you can make a blend for one reason, but it could have a myriad of other things it does. And part of honing in on what the oil can do for you specifically out of those things is doing what I guess Dr. Mika would call plant spirit medicine, doing that focused getting to know the plant. And you might discover that cistus or pettigrain or blue lotus has a particular wisdom for you and a particular message, a particular use for you, where you can't find that from reading books. You can't even find that from coming to classes like this. The way that you find it is by connecting to it and having more of that spiritual connection to the oil. So if there's an oil today that we talked about that you're feeling extra drawn to, I know Sheila put in the chat and she loves the way the spikenard feels on her belly, and that she doesn't use enough other oils besides digestin and the hormone blend. So now maybe, Sheila, you go and you work with spikenard for a week to 2 weeks, where you're putting it in your belly every day and you're meditating with it. You can even get the plant. That's a great way to work with the plants too, is to actually look at the plant. If you can't get a physical representation of the plant, look at pictures of the plant. Contessa Beth, one of our other teachers, will often say, dress like the plant. So take a look at spikenard, and what would it be like if you dressed like spikenard for a few days and you used spikenard, you meditated with spikenard, and it'll just really ground into your body and your soul and your psyche what spikenard is for you. And then you're tuning to the frequency of it. So even if you are in a situation where you've left the house and you didn't bring your spikenard with you, but you go, oh, I really need spikenard, you can just tap into the energy of the spikenard and even imagine yourself anointing yourself with spikenard. I know I'm getting super esoteric, but this is my fun place where I like to go. And it feels so good to me when I get to know oils on a deep level like that.
I agree with you, Erin. Louise and I, when we talk, we often talk about using them. Like, I think of the oils as my friends, and I think of them as all having a different personality. And I love that idea by Contessa Beth of like dressing like the plants. Like, I imagine if I had a party, and just imagine if spikenard walked in the room, like, would spikenard be like, hey, everybody? Like, I don't think so. I think spikenard would be like kind of the quiet presence that but they might not say anything. And I like imagining what would they wear and what would they sound like, and because that's the way that I relate to the plants as well. And I love it because just like people, we have different relationships with each person, each personality, and the plants are like that too.
So in the chat, we're talking about the black market trade of doTERRA. So different countries have different oils. And someone was asking about amber. And it's what's it called, Josie? It's not just amber.
It's not amber. Wait, I'm going to go get it because I can't. Hold on.
So I have some. It smells absolutely divine.
There's some liquid amber, but is that different?
Yes, that's it.
Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Liquid amber.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if that's how you say it. Sorry to interrupt you.
I don't know either. It looks like that. It looks like liquid amber. So if you want, is that what it is? Liquid amber?
Yeah, it's liquid amber. And so as you can see, it's all in Chinese. Mm-hmm. Miss Aisha Hurley actually gave it to me. Did she give it? So
yeah, she gave it to me too.
And it just says aroma essential oil. So I don't know, and I can't read Chinese, so I don't know the further things of it, but it's actually it's very interesting. It has cinnamon tones, right, Erin? It's like it probably has that holy aspect of cinnamonness. It's as if you combined cinnamon almost with the Palo Santo, the guaiac wood or something.
I'm looking it up. So it's
Those two
commonly
together.
referred to as sweet gum.
Oh, it's sweet gum.
And it's a beautiful tree that almost looks like a maple tree. And it's native to southern China and Taiwan.
So it's not amber, actually. It's just called like.
Well, I don't believe that amber actually has an aroma. Like amber, the resin, I don't think it actually has an aroma. I think we've called amber perfume amber for whatever reason, but the closest aroma would be that.
Would be this sweet gum.
So if you want black market oils, you have to find someone that lives in that area and ask them to buy it for you, and then they ship it to you.
Well, we have some blends that have sweet gum in them.
Oh, we do. What blend has sweet gum?
I know, I got to find them. But so I always read the oils that are in blends. So I know we have some blends. That's a homework for someone. I can't tell you which ones, but I'll go start looking through them. We have at least 2 blends that have sweet gum in them.
And so let me tell you what it's good for. It is good for your immune system. It's relaxing to the mood. It promotes even skin tone and a healthy looking complexion, and it's soothing and stress relieving. So it's recommended to take a bath in Epsom salts, mix it into your coconut oil for a great massage, diffuse it. If you want a calm mindset, add it to your moisturizer and apply 1 drop directly to skin imperfections. We'll have to try that.
I gotta find now I'm like, what blend was that?
Yeah, where was that?
I was looking too.
Does anybody have any questions or comments or anything else to say about all these wonderful oils we're talking about?
I have a bunch of new ideas for blends I want to make.
Oh, I hope you share.
December. Yeah, excited.
It's a great Christmas present. If you're looking for holiday gifts, you could make a holy anointing oil and give that to friends.
Solid perfume in an adorable little container. It's always fun too.
I was thinking about this. You can get little gold flakes. And wouldn't it be fun to get little gold flakes and then make a blend, like a holy oil blend with the gold?
Cleansing sprays, incorporating copaiba, guaiac wood, petitgrain. Copaiba, guaiac wood, petitgrain, and cistus might smell really good together.
That sounds amazing.
Oh yeah, cleansing spray.
Erin, you were when you told us to grab our oils, you told us to grab myrrh and wild orange as well. Did you have anything else that you wanted to do with myrrh or wild orange? We haven't talked about myrrh so much.
Yes, let's talk about myrrh a bit. So myrrh is another tree similar to frankincense. They're really beautiful. I recommend you look up pictures of myrrh trees, and it comes out in the resin. So myrrh is another one of these sacred oils for its ability to bring about purification and cleansing. But myrrh is also considered the mother oil. So I like to use it a lot like a balm. If I'm ever feeling like I need to be mothered, I will rub myrrh over my heart space and smell it. It's got that warm, earthy smell. But the reason I asked you to get all those oils is I wanted to lead you through an anointing practice with all of them. So we've put the spikenard, if you haven't done this already, spikenard on the top of your head and in your belly button. And that contemplation that with each touch of the oil, you're making yourself holy, bringing yourself back to wholeness. So we can say we're making ourselves holy, like closer to God, remembering our divinity, or we could also be making ourselves whole. So if you felt scattered or bifurcated or your energies in many places, bringing yourself back to wholeness and holiness. We'll take frankincense and apply this to the third eye. And the third eye is your pineal gland. It's always an interesting thing to note. It's called the third eye spiritually, but it's actually a part of our body, our pineal gland. And our pineal gland is responsible for some hormone regulation, but it's also where we create a molecule similar to DMT. So it's the part of our brain that has us be imaginative and dreamy. It's part of why when we're little kids, we can make believe all these amazing things, but as we get older, we forget to do that. That's about our pineal gland being super active or not. And then myrrh, we're going to anoint ourselves over our heart. And so this is a daily practice you can do where you have your sacred oils out. Either you have them in a blend and maybe you anoint, or you do this separate anointing. And then you're going to have an aroma on your hands, frankincense, myrrh, and spikenard, that just smells absolutely divine. And what I wanted to say about wild orange is not only can you put wild orange in your holy anointing blend, but orange is very symbolic, especially looking at feng shui practices. It's always advised to have 9 oranges on your dining room table, kind of at all times, because of the color and because it symbolizes abundance and prosperity. So if you don't have oranges or oranges aren't in season, you can be diffusing wild orange in your space to bring in that prosperity and that abundance. And you can go the distance of doing 9 drops. 9 is a sacred number, especially in the feng shui practice. So 9 drops of wild orange in your diffuser, or 9 oranges on your dining room table. And there's a great blend. It's an abundance blend where you take wild orange, frankincense, geranium, and cinnamon. And I would probably, the ratios would probably be 5 drops wild orange, 2 frankincense, 1 geranium, 1 cinnamon in fractionated coconut oil. I usually do a 10 milliliter roller bottle or an 8-ounce spray bottle. And that would be a beautiful abundance blend, which you could anoint yourself with. You could also anoint your wallet with it. You could spray down any money that you carry in your wallet. One little like magical trick for that is we often don't have cash in our wallet anymore, right? Because we just put everything on credit cards. Go to your bank and pull out a $100 bill that lives in your wallet, anoint it with the abundance blend, calling in more abundance, but never use that $100 bill. And the little like law of attraction mindset trick is you always have $100 in your wallet. So you always can feel like you're flush. Well, I have $100 in my wallet. I could, if I wanted to, buy that thing or pay for that thing, but you always keep it there, keep it anointed, and it's an abundance attractor. Yes, I'll put it in the chat.
One of the things, doTERRA, a few years ago, maybe you have, I don't know if Louise or Ariana have any slides or any remembrance of this. They came out with, when they brought the myrrh and frankincense together, year, and really highlighting in some more recent studies that synergy between frankincense and myrrh and how they work together incredibly synergistically for everything, but particularly the brain. And you know, the same way that I spoke about copaiba really helping synergistically all the other oils. There's a special, and I forget the percentages, but there was a pretty dramatic percentage about when you use frankincense together with myrrh and the effect on our brain and our memory and our brain chemistry and our neurotransmitters and our pineal gland and all the things that start to enliven up when we use frankincense. It is so much more when we use frankincense together with myrrh. And I love that if we think of those two oils are two of the main oils you're always going to also think of with any kind of wayward cells like cancer. And those are always mentioned. And so when you think about that, as frankincense being the penultimate oil for the vertical energies, the vertical force, which is the masculine and the yang, and reaching up to the highest self, right? In that vertical angle. And then myrrh is considered the penultimate horizontal force of the mother, of the opening of birth, of the plane we are on. And so when you bring the vertical and the horizontal in perfect alignment together, that is when you're going to have this kind of amazing synergy, and cells don't want to go out of alignment, right? Some of the ways I like to think about it.
That's great. Yes, oils are always better used together, aren't they? Even when in blends, I remember learning that when you do 3 oils that have a similar purpose, I think Dr. Sue taught me that you multiply the power of that purpose.
A lot, her blends, right? My favorite blend, one of my favorites of all time from her, is that frankincense, wild orange, and Roman chamomile.
That's such a good
love diffusing those 3. Yeah, sometimes that 3 blend is so magical.
One of my favorites too, Josie. It's the best and so protective. Really nice for a diffuser in a child's room too.
I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, I wonder if I can see the ratio. I don't remember. I mean, I'm always just like a little bit of this, I don't.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I don't remember, and it's fun to change it up. But and Roman chamomile is one of those oils that I think a lot of people, similar to geranium, when they first smell it, it can be really intense. They're like, oh, I don't know how to use that, and both of those oils, the way you start using them is you blend them with other in blends. They blend amazingly, and then all of a sudden you can kind of start to have relationship with them. That was true for myself, and I've seen it true for so many people.
So put in the chat something you're excited to do with oils after this call today. And I wanted to take a moment to invite all of you to a special holiday offering that I have going on. You're welcome to invite your customers. You're welcome to invite people that don't have doTERRA. Every Wednesday in December at 5 p.m., I'll be hosting a virtual gathering where I'll be teaching people how to use the oils in the Aroma Essentials Kit to manage all the emotions that the holidays can bring. It'll also just be a safe place to come and connect with like-minded folks if the holidays are a difficult time for you. We'll have meditations and sound healings and different aspects. And you can go to jasmineandjuniper.com/connect to register for that. It's totally free. I do send out an email that recommends people buy the Aroma Essentials Kit. So you can also use it as a great way to entice your leads to go ahead and take the leap and buy themselves a gift this year of oils and come to that gathering. So you are all definitely invited to use that and come to it as you go.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Erin. That is such a juicy offering. So it's wonderful for the whole community. And is there any last wisdoms or sharings anyone would like to voice now before we wrap up? No? All right. Well, what a fantastic call. Thank you so much, everyone. We have such a great group here and the community, and look at these wisdoms. I love these calls where we have so many pearls and we get to share. So I want to thank everyone for coming. and give a reminder that next week we will be having a similar type of call, and we are asking everyone to bring all of the oils in their collection that they're not sure how to use or all the ways to use, and they would like to have some tips and wisdoms and pearls on that. So we're going to be doing our Maximize Your Oil call and bringing it to the community with all the leaders. And so we can be helping you understand and deepen into how you work with these oils. So join us next Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and we will be here. So I want to thank everyone for joining.
Bye, everybody.
Hey, bye.